And we've actually had we've actually had a couple of parents come in person, and we have a few parents that are not members of the SIT that are pretty loyal and come to all the and participate in all the meetings.
Do you think you could shoot out to Abby Blanton just to put on the Collinswood announcements, maybe like the day before an SIT committee meeting happens?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just because I know some parents, I am one of them. I like to attend and just listen in what's going on, but then I'm always Dominique Bala and I are always like, "Hey, are you on? Hey, are you on?" And
I know, and that's why I was wondering if you think it'd be easier to do that, or I was gonna have Miss Modine put it in a parent square, whatever you think people.
I
I guess
all,
it's the same
all of the
thing, right?
above.
I think
Yeah, we'll do all of
in my experience, group me is something people have to kind of opt in for. Parent Square is something that goes to everybody, so it's always a good opportunity to send it across both mediums.
Yeah, we can totally do that. And like I said, it was a little easier last year because it became just ingrained that we actually sent it out. We sent out for the whole year, and then reminders would go out, but that's because it was on the same day every month. And so you just kind of ended up knowing like, okay, it's the first Tuesday of the month. So we will make sure, like I said, we're going to make sure we'll send out what the next 3 are so people can put them on their calendars. But to your point, the week before, a day or two before, we'll make sure that we send out a reminder through Parent Square and through grouping.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks so much, Tiffany.
No, and I'll put my email in the chat in case anybody does have any questions.
And then one thing I'd like to add to that is kind of making sure that reinforcing the what Tiffany mentioned about kind of the partnership between SIT and admin and PTA leadership. So we are all work to get closely together and kind of mutually beneficial to one another.
Yep. Oh yeah, and Danny, we have a PTA representative. There's always a PTA representative as a member of the SIT. So that's also where the link is, and Danny is the PTA representative.
So my sidebar, is my screen still sharing? Because it just flashed at me like 3 times.
Now, yep, you're back at the agenda.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. All right, thanks again, Tiffany. And again, if anybody has questions or needs to reach out to Tiffany directly, her email is in the chat. You can also bother me, Sherry, or any other members of the PTA board, and we'll point you in the right direction. So moving on to next item, shout outs and wins. I want to talk about the Fall Festival first and foremost. Y'all, the Fall Festival was so much fun. I really, really hope that everybody feels the same way. We had really great energy throughout the entire afternoon. You know, the food trucks were awesome. Kind of just some quick highlights. You have several parents coming up and mentioning that it's the best fall festival they've had in years. This includes some parents that have been around much longer than I have. So that was great to hear. Couple teachers have mentioned about it being awesome. Miss Garcia especially was pretty outspoken about it. Miss Medina was outspoken about it. The fact that we were able to do it ticket free, kind of free cost for everybody was awesome. So it was just really, really great event. And the biggest shout out to Dominique Bala. Is Dominique here? Dominique, are you here today? Dominique's not even here.
I just sent her an offensive text to get on here.
So, big shout out to Dominique. Dominique, for those of you who don't know, Dominique did all of the planning for the Fall Festival. She even built many of the props, the wall maze. She built that from scratch in her yard. We've got progress pictures to prove it. So huge shout out to her, because without her planning and logistics, the Fall Festival wouldn't have been what it was. And then kudos to all of the volunteers as well. We had, especially at a setup and teardown compared to last year, we got like a teardown this year. We had everything done at right in an hour. So it was really great to see everybody volunteer their time, volunteer their efforts, manning or staffing the various events. So it was just awesome. So big shout out on that one. And then similar to the fall festival, I'll let Robert go into more detail about this a little bit later in today's meeting, but the Invest in Your Child campaign, spoiler alert, was awesome. Lots of great involvement. But again, I'll let Robert talk to you more about that a little bit later. And the last one I wanted to talk about was the movie and food truck night that was this past Friday for Dia de los Muertos. That's not a PTA event. That one is something that Principal Modine wanted specifically. It was the one who set up that meeting and asked for the PTA support. So thank you to everybody who went. We heard a lot of really great things about that, as far as just, if I think the quote I heard was, it was a calmer fall festival vibe. There was the movie was playing, it was an open gym, the playground was open. The general sentiment was it's a great way to be more involved with the community, more involved with other parents, or even some teachers, and the admin was there. So I know Principal Modine has made that one of her goals, is to create more community-based events at the school, sponsored by the school. So you can look out for more events like that to come in the future. And then I will kick it over to Sherry for her big shout outs.
All right. I have two things. Number one, if you are in the grade level where RAS kids 1, 2, 3, kids ABC, it's called a few different things. If you had that last year, it should be back. If you have not seen anything about it, please ask your teacher. We got that back, and I believe that's on a grant, and Griselda Perez really champions that, and it's super awesome, and gives a lot of reading opportunities in Spanish and English for our kids. They also have RAS Science this year, at least for us in second grade, that I saw. I haven't played with it too much yet, but my daughter has, and I haven't watched her, but she seems to like it. So yay. Number two, speaking of books and literacy, I think it's important to note, if any of you were here last year, there was an event in May, Ham Jams, where one of our parents, Michael Yeary, is friends with Hamilton on Broadway. Good enough friends where Hamilton and I can't remember his name. And the musical director flew down last year, spent the day with the kids doing amazing things. And then there was like an event for the parents that night to raise money. All great things. Some of that money is actually being used to build our, I believe it's mostly like our middle school book collection. So our administrators have spent about $12,000 on authentic Spanish authors and high quality texts. So ask your middle schoolers about it and make sure they are utilizing them if they've come in yet. I have a little friend with me. Hello. So yay for that, because what I have heard from some of the admins who've come from other schools that are bilingual is that we still have a lot of room to grow in our media center and our collection. So our admins are on it, and $12,000 is being spent towards that. There was 70 some thousand dollars raised, so yay.
And thank you, Sherry. And to add to that about the Ham Gem investment, I know I've fielded several questions just with the general sentiment of, hey, we've got all this money, why aren't they spending it? And Principal Modine spoke to this last time, but just kind of general reminder that they have a lot of, for lack of a better term, they have a lot of red tape to that they have to go through to spend this money. For instance, the library and the 12,000 they spent on all these books. It isn't as easy as you go into Amazon and dropping 12,000. They have to use approved vendors, and they have to make sure that there is documentation of where they're spending the money and whom they're spending the money with. But Principal Modine wants to make sure that she's transparent with how this money is being spent. And she really wanted to make sure that everybody knew the big investment that's already been made with the libraries in the individual classes. So she was going to try to be here today, but she is in Santa Fe for that conference. So I'm guessing that she won't be here.
And I'll just add on, the goal of that was to fund our teachers and all of their needs through 2024. So all teachers have had the opportunity to send in their biggest and best wishes. And now it's been just a task of going through those to find approved vendors to be able to order those things. So it just takes a little bit of time, but it is being worked on. Things are happening. So yay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Sherry. And speaking of fundraising, Robert, let's see, we got a question in the chat. Who's the team approving the purchase? That's from Zaina.
Labreezy and Modine.
Yeah, it's all the administration, since it's their money. They're the ones who are approving kind of what the expenses are. And then from there, there's another layer of just CMS oversight of that it has to be spent on instructional material and all of that. Alrighty, so speaking of money, Robert, are you available?
I'm right here, Danny.
All right, I'm gonna kick it over to Robert to tell us the good news about the Invest campaign.
I appreciate it. And thanks for some brief time during the meeting. I'm pleased to share with everyone on this call that we have reached a significant milestone at the end of our 2-week Invest in Your Child fundraising campaign. As everyone may or may not recall, our goal for this fiscal year is to raise $50,000, which is a $20,000 increase over our goal from last fiscal year. And I'm very pleased to share that at the end of the 2 weeks, based upon the gifts that were made in person through our PayPal page, and then also some written commitments that we have from donors, either giving from their donor advised funds or cash gifts, we have surpassed $30,000 on the way to our $50,000 goal. And this is coming from almost 100 different individual donors. And so it's really fantastic to see all of this participation with that focused 2-week fundraising campaign. As you can tell, we still have a gap towards our $50,000 goal because we have some lofty goals in terms of what we want to fund with our programming through the PTA this year. So you can certainly expect that we will be doing some outreach with Giving Tuesday that comes up on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. I know a lot of families, including my own, we make a lot of our financial giving decisions at the end of the calendar year to associate with tax purposes. Just for a reminder for everyone on this call, whether you've made a gift or you're intending to make a gift, the PTA is an independent 501c3. So your gifts can be accounted for to the extent that the law allows. So please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. Again, a heartfelt thank you to everyone on this call who's already made a gift. And while the 2-week Invest in Your Child fundraising campaign is complete, honestly, every day is a good day to give to Collinswood. So I'll be sure to include a link in the chat. Don't hesitate to let me know if you've got questions. My contact information is obviously available on the website, but a really, really encouraging campaign, and great to see all the enthusiasm at the Fall Festival, through social media throughout the 2 weeks. Thank you to everyone for your support thus far. So thanks for the time, Danny.
Thank you, Robert. All right, I'm going to, before we move on, any questions for Robert, or general questions about the Invest campaign? All right, Dominique, I think I saw your name up. Are you on the
Here.
call?
I'm here. Can
Yay.
you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. I'm hiding from my children.
Nice.
So treasury stuff's looking good. We currently have $65,836.18 in the bank. All of our budget items are under budget, or right at budget. With Fall Festival, we are under budget $800. So we have an opportunity to look at how we would like to reallocate that money, if we'd like to move that to a different line item, and kind of discuss that, where we want that to go. And then next meeting we can I guess make a vote, unless we come to some sort of, consensus today. Other than that, everything has been working like clockwork. I know that Ross, if you're here, outdoor beautification has been wanting an update. We do have just shy of $2,000 still left in the budget for outdoor beautification. And then the other thing I wanted to give an update on was staff appreciation. We still are doing very well with that. I think somebody wanted an update on where we were with staff appreciation and support. I think you've got you've got the budget versus actuals up. So really I have no concerns, except for there are several teachers who have not used that $125 reimbursement that we offer them. So, just make sure we get the word out there.
Yeah, if you guys can all just remind your teachers gently, like, hey, you have $125 that you can bill to the
And from
PTA.
experience, there are some teachers who, as me being their room parent, and I was the treasurer, and I told them that I would even, fill out the stuff, that all I needed was, for them to just send me the receipts and I would do all the work for them. And they still didn't send me the receipts. It's just, some of them just don't do it. So, just expect that some of them just won't do it. I don't know why. It's basically free money for them, and I don't know why they wouldn't want to be reimbursed the free money.
We'll put it to good use.
Yeah, we'll find something. Same with that money left over from the fall festival. We'll find something fun and exciting to do with it.
From here and till the next meeting, we'll figure it out.
Yep. And then if for those that are not on the board, you remember this is our money. Is the hour being the PTA. So if there's something specific that you think the money should go towards, or something, particular line item that you think maybe needs more money, please feel free to reach out to any of the board members. info@collinswoodpta.com. We always welcome ideas from the group, because again, this is our money to work with, and our money to use to better the school and better experience for our kids.
Yes, because we are always open to suggestions on how we could figure out how to spend it.
Yep. Right. Any questions about the budget, the financial update, any particular line item that somebody would like to take a look at? Cool deal. Moving on, we're going to kick it back over to Sherry to talk about some volunteer needs.
Okay, so we have Black History Month coming up. I know you're all thinking, but Sherry, it's November. But the holidays go by quick and February sneaks up very fast. We would love to have some people on a committee for Black History Month, there are things that are already like our normal things that we do. For example, I can speak K through 3. We have like a potato chip event for some of the grades, an ice cream event for some of the grades. And there is more, but you won't be alone. Please don't be fearful about getting on a committee. There are things that you just have to help be point people for, and we would love all kinds of ideas as well. We have room to implement. We have $800 some that we could also possibly use if Dominique says it's okay. And there will be a teacher. There is an educator. I'm not sure who it is yet for this Black History Month, but there will be someone on it. So we will have educator involvement. Please help. That is all for that.
Sherry, Judge Hans put in the chat that she is in to help, quote, as usual. And looks like she's got her hand raised, so I'll kick it over to her for the commentary.
Yeah.
Hey y'all. Danny, feel free to call me Ty or Tayati. We're not in court. You don't have to call me Judge Hands, but I appreciate the kindness. I was just wondering, I appreciate you bringing that up early, and it's not the only thing I want to talk about, but I actually kind of forgot and dialed in late, so I apologize. But I know last year when we went to the Greensboro Museum, was that only 8th graders or was that the middle school?
I don't know. Anyone else?
Me either. I feel like it was only 8th graders, and if it was, I would just love to see if we could potentially, that means they're all gone. I had an 8th grader last year. It was only 8, someone said. I would love to try to spearhead that trip each year for the 8th graders, even though I don't have one this year. It was amazing, and that's all I want to say. I was trying to remember if it was the entire middle school, because if so, maybe no need to do it. But if it was only 8th, maybe we try to do that. And but for whatever else, as usual, I'm happy to help, and not just that committee, of course, but whatever else y'all need me for. Thank y'all.
Careful what you wish for, Ty. I said that once, and then somebody made me be president.
That's how we got here, Ty.
Since I led SIT for several years during pandemic, I won't lead anything else, but I'll definitely help.
Ty, do you think it would be good for the whole middle school to go, or do you feel like that's a good like 8th grade experiential trip, something to look forward to? What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? Honestly, I'd welcome other people's thoughts, but I think it could, I don't know if like capacity wise you could do, but I definitely think that all middle schoolers could appreciate what it has to offer. I just wonder if it's, I mean, I definitely don't think it solely should be the 8th graders. I'd be open to seeing what we could do. And because I've got some folks that way who I clerk for the Chief Justice who's in the museum. And so his wife met us when we went and like introduced herself to some of the students, and he could potentially be there. Like, I think we could do some things that could make this really impactful. So I'm open, and just, we can maybe discuss it and not make everyone else have to be a part of it, but the committee could discuss what opportunities exist.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And then Dominique just put in the chat that he had $2,500 in the cultural events line item budget, and then the DEI line item has another $2,500. So let's Ty, I'll reach out to you directly, and then me, you, and Sherry can kind of put our heads together and at least start to game plan some of this stuff and see what we can work with, what we can come up with, and more importantly, how we can kind of make sure we get support so we can do this and do it right.
Yes, and I probably should have said, if anyone is interested in that committee, please email me. It's vp@collinswoodpta.com. I will still add it here. But please don't be intimidated. I was actually on it with Ty and other moms my kindergarten year. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, I'm here to help. Somebody tell me what to do. And they were very gracious and very awesome. So please help. We would love the help.
All right, thank you very much, Sherry. Thank you, Ty. Any other questions regarding volunteer needs before we move on to kind of the last subject for the day?
Oh,
Deal.
okay, I'll say one more
Oh,
thing. Sorry.
One more thing.
I wanted to say trash. If anyone on this call could just like reinforce with your kids, if they're out on the playground, please be kind and put your trash in the trash can. We actually had to, Ross had to reach out and ask to get those trash cans placed. They were not just placed at our brand new school like one might think. Let's use them. It gets kind of gross there. So if everyone could just have a little convo about Mother Earth wanting to not have trash on it, that would be awesome. And we've asked other teachers to kind of help with that as well. It sounds like Modine thinks it might be a bit from middle school because they can go out there with their food or snacks or something of that nature. But you know, if there's like a piece of trash that's not super gross, like that maybe wasn't on someone's mouth, even if they picked up like a chip thing and put it in the trash, that would be great. We would love that.
Alrighty, thanks, Sherry. All right, so kind of last, I'm actually going to stop sharing so you all can stop looking at that big white screen here. So kind of the last topic for today's meeting was first and foremost, shout out to Ross, Glenn, and Liz Reinfeld. They are the parent reps for the PTA. And if you've been on GroupMe, you've seen them pop up. They've done a great job of connecting with everybody and answering questions and fostering good dialogue and good conversation. And one of the things that has come up quite a bit the last couple days has been regarding parent-teacher support, specifically surrounding the parent-teacher conferences has been the most common topic. So the big thing is there's been a lot of concern about, in general, it seems that the elementary schoolers were virtual only for the parent-teacher conferences, and the middle school grades or the upper grades were in person. And there's just some general concern about the kind of how unpersonal or impersonal that felt, versus other people that appreciated the flexibility to say, hey, I don't need to drive to the school for a 15-minute meeting. So I wanted to call out that, hey, the PTA has heard all of us. Especially thanks to Ross and to Liz. They've done a great job in relaying that to the PTA board. And we hear you, and we're going to have conversations with Principal Modine, kind of find out some of the thinking about it, especially considering that curriculum night as well was also virtual. So as soon as we have more information to share about that, what the thinking was, the rationale was, we will share it with everybody either in the next meeting or in the next newsletter. We'll put something out, but we are on it, and we've heard you, and we're going to make sure we do what we can to kind of make sure that everybody's voices as parents are heard up to the administration kind of as one voice instead of a lot of separate voices. And
Hey, Danny.
along those, go ahead.
I'm sorry, it's Maya.
Hey, Maya, what's up?
Hey, so this is my first conference as a kindergarten parent, and I think it wasn't so much impersonal because of it being virtual. I think the issue was really more that it was like, Nolan, sorry guys, background noise, but it's about 10 minutes of like a presentation and like 5 minutes of like actual talking. I'm sorry for all the yelling. But it just felt like the first 10 minutes could have been like a presentation they recorded or something, and something that could have been shared across the whole class. And we could spend more time on like my own child. So that was kind of a thing for me. I hope you heard that, because there's a lot of young people in the background.
Gotcha. So just to call it back, so the first 10 minutes were more presentation style that maybe could have been recorded and sent out to the parents, and that way,
yeah, it was
more
like
time could have been.
curriculum. Yeah,
Got it.
so it was going over like the reading the math or whatever, which was helpful. but it wasn't one-on-one about my child. You know?
Got it. I added that to my notes. Then
Can I add into that? I've heard other parents say the same thing, that we felt like what was given to us primarily was test scores, which I've noticed that being a trend since second grade. I have a fourth grader, but I feel like it's become an increasingly large part of what the teachers are pushed to share with us. And by and large, I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but parents don't really care about the test scores. And I hate that the teachers are feeling so much pressure. But you know, our kids are not numbers, and that's not why we're there.
thank you, Casey. I'll make a note of that one as well.
And if you guys think of anything else that you want to share, whether it's related to the parent teacher conferences or not, that you want to ensure gets back to Danny and I when we have our monthly meetings with admins, please send it to Ross and Liz. They're great resources, and we're kind of trying to keep like a running document of concerns, so we ensure that we're hitting on everyone's concerns, anonymously, of course. So Ross and Liz, if you guys could put your emails in the chat, that would be awesome. And spread the word to your friends too. And also don't be shy about letting teachers and admins know. The more voices that there are, the more helpful it is in knowing like a certain issue just isn't a squeaky wheel issue. It's, you know, it's a shared concern amongst a lot of parents in the community. So we hear you. We're on it.
And that actually segues pretty nicely to what I was going to say next about how we found out about this. I really want to call out GroupMe specifically. Another common thing that we've heard, even here in my house, it's been a discussion, and I feel like I'm in a lot of different conversations. We feel that there's been just kind of a almost disconnect between teachers and schools that hasn't been there in years past. To clarify, years past we felt more connected to the teachers and kind of what's going on a day-to-day basis. So one thing I want to call out is GroupMe. So GroupMe is such a great way of getting in touch with parents directly. I know in this particular group, kind of knowing it's a captive audience, I know the people here probably leverage GroupMe more than your average parent, but making sure that in your conversations with your kids' classmates, with friends at school, with other parents, you encourage them to log into GroupMe and communicate, use that via communication. Sometimes one of the other concerns we've heard is about teachers taking longer than they should to reply to questions via Parent Square. Sometimes it may be easier to go onto GroupMe and get a quick question from the parents. And it's also a way to kind of raise general awareness. If we limit our communication to just one-on-one messages or emails to the teachers, we as a collective aren't aware of kind of what may be trending issues. We don't know that, hey, my feeling of disconnectedness is the same as Sherry's, is the same as Maya's. So using GroupMe and connecting with our representatives like Ross and Liz, or even if you want to take it kind of more of a private, I understand that some people don't want to air their laundry, or they feel the need to keep their concerns private. You can reach out to them individually via the emails they added in the chat. You can always reach out to myself, to Sherry, to any PTA board member. I really want to make sure that we understand that we are all in this together, and we support each other as parents. And that's ultimately what we're here for. And I want to make sure everybody knows that. So along those lines, I also wanted
Danny,
Russ.
sorry, can I say something about that?
Talk to me.
I'm gonna tell you, and I know I repeat this too many times, but after being 13 years in Collinswood and after pandemic, I can say that this is one of the years that I can see more participation and more parents involved in the school. And if someone doesn't feel involved, the best thing you can do is show up and volunteer. If you don't have a time because you are working, and I understand this is one of the years that I realize that we have a lot of family events. We are just in October, and I feel like we are getting together more than other years. So I think it's just go there. You know, it's different opportunities. It's like a beautification on the weekend. Is in the mornings, in the night, during the week, in the midday. It is a lot of opportunities. So I think sometimes, I'm so sorry to say it, but sometimes it's excuses. I'm sorry. And this year is being very happy. You can see a lot of movement in the school, I can tell you, more than other years. I cannot see other ways to say that what else we can do. Sadly, you cannot go to the classroom and be in the school with your child all day to be involved with the teacher in the school, because you cannot. But we have a lot of chances. We have a lot of opportunities. Just reach out. If you go to the PTA website, you can find all the chances that you have to get involved in different ways. Even not only volunteer if you don't have the time, but it is a lot, to be honest. And I like the idea that you said for the people to be connected in GroupMe, because your teachers are teaching. If you send a group parent square message at 10 a.m., he's not going to respond to you. He's busy. He's teaching your kid. He's teaching a lesson. He's paying attention to the children. I'm telling you this because I receive calls from people that say, I just text the teacher and I didn't receive a response. I just want to make sure about this. And I say, okay, I can give the message to the teacher, but he's teaching or she is teaching. So they have to understand they are dedicating the time to the students, and you have to appreciate that as a parent. If the teacher is not answering you, be thankful that the teacher is not in the phone, is with your kid. You know, it's just my point of view as a parent. Is the only thing I wanted to say. And we have a lot of opportunities just coming. This is the year that Ms. Modin is very open to have people walking around. And last year it wasn't like that.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Ruth. Yeah, there's always piggybacking. There's always opportunities to volunteer, big and small. All you got to do is reach out, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Danny.
So, give me 1 second, Maya. Ross, I saw you come
Sure.
off of mute a couple different times. Did you need to say something? Did you want to say something?
Not really relevant. I was just going to echo your sentiments before about reaching out to Liz and myself, and at a minimum we're someone to listen. We may have shared experiences, we may not, but we're certainly aligned, as you said, Danny, that we're all in this together. We want this to be the best experience for our own families and for other families who are on this journey together. So that's why we're here. So definitely feel free to reach out directly, or or part of a broader GroupMe organization. Thanks.
Thanks, Russ. All right, Maya, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. So I will say that our teacher is super responsive, which I appreciate. I think my challenge is typically around connecting with other parents. So parents, GroupMe is great, but there's just a ton of families who are not in there, whether it's for the overall school or for the kindergarten class or whatever. I'm not really sure what's going on with the room parents, but it's just super hard to connect with other people in our classrooms. So I don't know what typically is done there. I've heard other people say things like you can message other parents and Parent Square and like the PTA has turned on. I'm not sure if that's true or not. So I don't know if there's other ways for us to figure out how to connect with other parents or whatever. I recently did a very complex note passing between kindergartners, which took a while to get to some other parents that I wanted to connect with in another class. But it just seems like that's another huge problem, is that there's no way to easily connect with other parents in the school, whether it's your grade or the school overall.
Gotcha. I'm not sure about using Parent Square to go person to person, or excuse me, parent to parent, but I'll make a note of it to ask Principal Modine to see if we can leverage that tool as parents. And then I'll also get in touch with the room parent share, kind of see where we are with that, and see if we can't
Danny, I'm sorry, let me help you with that. In this case, it doesn't have to be with the school. It have to be with CMS policies that they cannot share any kind of information because they consider it private. I'm pretty sure everybody wants to be in touch with other parents. So the only thing as a room parent coordinators is we have an introduction letter that we give on the training to the room parents. You have to give it a time. We are in November. We are in November. And I know everybody wants to get to know to each other. We have an introduction letter. And in that introduction letter, you are going to find in the bottom of the page the opportunity to share your information with the room parent. And then is there when the room parent can make a group more full of parents of that grade on GroupMe. That is the point. That is the idea. The thing is, we cannot do it in the first day of the school. We can ask the teachers, please don't push the teachers to give you contact information because it's hard for them to say no, but they cannot share that. They can get in troubles because maybe you want to be in touch, maybe other parent doesn't want anyone to know their info and they can complain. And it's gonna be a big issue. Anyway, we are doing our best to get the people connect to each other. And once again, participate in our events. And I'm pretty sure you are gonna meet people. You are gonna realize who is the friend of your kid, and you can talk to the parent and you can get in touch one to each other. It's gonna be possible. Just give the room parents a little of time to put all this together.
So candidly, I mean, we're literally almost halfway through the year. I don't know how much more time the room parents need to kind of coordinate some of that stuff. I know our room parents said when I asked about it a month or so ago that they hadn't been trained yet. And so I'm just not really sure where that process is because we haven't received anything in our classroom about the contact stuff. Even I know that stuff's on the PTA website. So I'm not really sure what the status of that is.
Yeah, I can tell you really quick what's the process. The process is the day that you meet the teacher, you fill out a form. Then you have to get the form from the teacher that you have to follow them a lot and you have to try to get the paper. When you get the paper is when you have to figure it out, the room parents. And then when you figure it out, the room parents, you have to make sure they know what is the role of room parent and they have to agree to be a room parent. So after you talk to all of them and they are agreed that they are committed to be a room parent, then you have to make sure that that parent didn't sign up in another classroom because he wants to be room parent into classroom, and that is not possible because he cannot do that because the celebrations are the same day at the same time. So he cannot multiply and do both. And we want to give opportunity to more parents to participate. So I'm not gonna not me, but the idea is not to have one parent to be in two classrooms. Let's give chance to more parents. So after you make all that together and you are make sure all the teachers have room parents, there are some teachers that can have a very lucky year and they can have a big list of people that wants to be a room parent. Sadly, we have another teachers that they don't have anyone. So we have to start contact people, trying to convince people to be room parent. It is a process. After you get all that people together, you have to make a training when everybody can be in the training. And after that is when you can start to contact the people and explain how they are going to send the letter. Then the teacher have to send the letter. Then the room parent have to receive the letter and put all that information together. So it's not something that you do one day.
Right. So I guess where are we in that process of should we have heard from my room parent by now? I guess is my main question. Or is that still, are they still being trained or whatever?
No, they already have been trained and they send the letters home already, the introduction letters. But if
So if
it
that
doesn't,
hasn't happened in our class, who do we talk to about that?
we have to see who is your room parent. We have to see if they already send the introduction letter, because sometimes they take a little longer. They are working. Some of them have to realize that they have to print it out. They have to make the copies. They have to give it to the teacher. Can we ask the teacher if they did it? If they give the paper, sometimes we give the papers to the teachers and that never get home. So we have to ask the teacher if they receive it. So if your room parent didn't do it, you can contact the room parent coordinator, that is Allen, or you can contact me, that I'm training them, because I was doing the room parent for many years. And we try to figure it out what's happening with that letter, why you didn't receive any letter. Okay.
Cool. I don't want to monopolize that. I appreciate the information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks, Maya. Alyssa, you've been patiently waiting with your hands up.
I'm sorry, Lisa.
That's okay, Ruth. I know how you get when you get going. It's okay. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Maya, I was just going to speak to you. I'm a parent of a second grader. I was a room parent last year. First grade year, I was a helpful parent, not a room parent, but a helpful parent. So one of the things that I would definitely recommend doing, if your specific teacher class does not group yet, you can go ahead and start that.
We've got one, but it only has 8 families in it.
Yeah, right. So I did find that you might not get everyone participating in that, but that is a good start. A second thing that our class-wide second grade did, because as parents, we wanted to get to know each other. We started over the summer. I think Sherry started that with 1 or 2 other parents, but we started the summer between first grade. Did we do first grade? No, between kindergarten, the summer after kindergarten, we started a monthly park get together. And that was all summer long. We met, I think the first
Bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Bi-weekly. Yeah. Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Yeah. So every other Saturday we met at Park Road Park throughout the summer, which was a great opportunity for us to really get to know each other. And it wasn't tight. It was just really flexible, but that was a really good opportunity to know. Our room parent this year actually put room parents, Zaina's on here, sent out a letter to say, hey, this is total opt-in only. If you want to opt in, you can opt in. You can put your phone number, you can put your your email address. If you want to be contacted by text, how involved you want to be in the class. Are you okay with us sharing this with other parents? I don't know if we had 100% participation, but we were at least able to capture those people who in the classroom, parents who wanted to stay in contact with each other or get to know each other better. So that's one of the ways to do it. But I know it can be really challenging. Kindergarten, you want to jump in, you want to meet all the other parents. And other than that, and volunteering and attending functions, that was pretty much how we got to know each other.
Yeah. I mean, those are all things we do, but it's hard because other people aren't doing it. So you can't meet people who aren't doing something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I mean, I hear your frustration. I think we all hear your frustration. But no, it might start 8 strong. The good thing is that, if we're all here through 8th grade, we got lots of years to get to know each other.
Yep.
But I definitely can speak personally. My husband and our relationships with other parents became stronger that first summer after kindergarten during those summer park meetups, because that's where we just had downtime to sit and talk while our kids played.
Yeah.
Agreed. And to really well said, Alyssa. And I want to call attention to something that was put in the chat by Naomi. So the newsletter mentioned that there was a blurb in the newsletter talking about that we're looking for volunteers or a committee head. We're trying to get more family get-togethers and events put together as part of kind of a PTA parent social committee. These are again, echoing what it was said in the newsletter, these are supposed to be low-key, unrelated, outside of Fall Festival, outside of Book Fair, outside of these big, busy events that happen at the school. We want to try to get lower energy events scheduled where the families can feel families can feel free to come in and mingle and get to know. Maybe people aren't technologically savvy and they rather just speak to people face to face instead of doing the group me thing. Ty mentioned here in the chat that years ago we had monthly meetups at restaurants. So those are things that we're trying to establish and trying to build. And there's a lot of different venues. With us being a magnet, we are pretty spread out throughout the area. So planning is always a little bit tough. Do you plan in a different part of the city? Do you plan closer to the school? And you're really making sure that when we do these meetups, we do it in a way that it's inclusive to everybody. We want to have a meeting at a bar or a brewery so people who want to drink can enjoy some drinks together. We also want to have maybe at a restaurant where people can feel comfortable if they want to get together and break bread with each other. Also the idea of maybe just a park, kind of something that's not around the idea of spending money. So really want to set these situations up where they are very inclusive, very welcoming for everybody, and very accessible for everybody. So if anybody has any ideas, if anybody wants to kind of spearhead that committee as far as getting the neighborhood together, Maya, I'm just going to make a suggestion, no pressure. Maybe you can put on that superhero cape and start that endeavor and really focus in on starting something with the kindergartners. So great call out, Naomi. Great comments for you, Alyssa, and Maya. Thank you for bringing up that conversation and that topic today.
Yeah, no problem.
So I know we're over time. I want to be respectful that, hey, it's a work night and a school night for everybody, but I do want to kind of continue now that we're done with the more procedural part of the PTA meeting, kind of going through the orders of business. I do want to open it up to just any general questions that people may have, any general concerns, something you want to talk about with the PTA board, with the fellow PTA members, fellow parents, anything at all that somebody would like to bring to the group.
Hey, Danny, it's Ross.
Hey, Ross, what's up?
Hey, we already kind of treaded this ground, but a lot of what I'm hearing on this call, like I feel or I have felt. I'm a first grade father, so not too far removed from kindergarten, where you feel like you basically are sending your child into a completely unknown atmosphere, and that in addition to that, you don't really have a network. You feel like you're starting from scratch. I wanted to echo the comments about it. It does improve, but it does take a concerted effort for parents, which is, I think probably the same in any school, maybe a little bit more important for us, just given the magnet school, sort of set up and where we draw from, different neighborhoods across the county. But like I also feel like there's some really strong momentum, and Ruth mentioned this around the fall festival, the movie night, and more we kind of provide positive feedback to events where we can spend time with our kids on the campus, in the school. Frankly, like that's one thing that has always resonated with me. I just don't I do volunteer from time to time, but I just really don't feel like I get that many natural opportunities to be in the building. And I get that there's policies and there's safety procedures and things like that, but at the movie night, it was a free flow of people in and out of the building. Basically, the gym was wide open. the all the activities and sports equipment and stuff like that was wide open. It was a really nice feeling as a parent. So I think, in addition to providing feedback to administration for, ways they can improve very, very specific, things like parent-teacher conferences, et cetera, we can also promote and provide kind of positive reinforcement that I think will get at some of those issues too, right? I think there is some momentum, and I can hear it in this group too. So I'm excited for the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Russ. And Zaina just posted in the chat, good opportunity to be around the school. Basketball season's getting ready to start for 7th and 8th graders. Boys team was awesome last year, and this is going to be the first year that we have a girls team. So be on the lookout for that. That's a great opportunity. Thanks, Naomi. Book fair is coming up the 1st of December. So, again, lots of different things, as we're going through the days, making sure that we are advocating for these events with people who don't necessarily attend PTA events or PTA meetings very often, or people who may not be in the group meetings. Word of mouth is, as much as we rely on technology, word of mouth is still great. So speaking personally, like the dads on duties, like when hearing kids on the school, like, hey, are you going to be here on Friday, or are the dads going to be here on Friday? Just word of mouth is super powerful. So be sure to, just like we're doing today, making sure that we're communicating all of these opportunities to hang out at the school whenever we can. Any other topics? Anything anybody wants to bring up? Cool deal.
There was a thing in the chat about middle school dance. Are we having one for the fall/winter, or have you I don't know if there's any. Did we
Zaina, I think was the one. Zaina, did you make that comment? Because funny enough, I think that was brought up before, and we're like, oh yeah, Zaina's on it. So you just do whatever you want.
Sorry, I just can't figure out how to unmute myself. And
It can be anything you want it to be.
so last year we did a fall dance, and it was Rod kind of wanted the middle schoolers to be around each other. It was like after COVID, and it's almost like our kids, if you have older kids, they really did not know how to act around each other, and it was a little crazy. They had a lot of fun. We did have music and food, and it was then we did like an actual like middle school dance that winter. But we kind of had like a fall party, because a lot of the fall festival was great. We were there and we had a great time. But a lot of the older kids, the middle schoolers, that they didn't show up as much as the younger kids did. So they kind of did something for the older kids. I'm not saying we have to, but
no, you should.
If anybody would like to do something, I'm happy to help with that. It's just, I was just throwing it out there, and we can talk about it later in email or something if y'all want.
Sounds good. Thank you, Zaina. All right, y'all. It is 8:18. Thank you so much for taking time out of your week and out of the busy evening bedtime routines. Thanks to all the partners out there who helped wrangle kids to free up people to join the call. Again, just like I say every meeting, if anybody ever has any questions, anybody wants to chat about something, please feel free to reach out. Please encourage others to reach out. I know we're all, between Sherry and I especially, but all of the board, we are always open to chatting with anybody. So thanks for joining. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for having great kids, everybody. And we will talk again next month.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.